It's Friday, January 9th. In the headlines, ODPEM urges preparedness during upcoming Earthquake Awareness Week. CXC to announce Hurricane Melissa concession schools on January 14. In business news, we take you through the latest news and updates shaping the market. Regionally, new CARICOM chair Anderson Kitts and Nevis's Prime Minister says regional unity is key in an uncertain world. And in sports, Excelsior High claims 2026 Oliver Shield. This is the weekend news on PBC Jamaica. I am Danita Rodney. The National Irrigation Commission says irrigation services have now been restored to nearly all customers affected by Hurricane Melissa, marking a major boost for Jamaica's agricultural recovery. Speaking recently, Public Relations Specialist at the National Irrigation Commission, Christine Forbes, said approximately 98% of irrigation customers are back online just weeks after the hurricane.
Due to forward planning, strategic thinking, we were able to bounce back much better than we did in Hurricane Beryl. Up to 4 weeks, a month after the Hurricane Melissa, we have at least 98% of our customers restored with irrigation services.
She shared that ahead of the Category 5 hurricane, the Commission shut down its systems to protect lives and infrastructure, activating its Disaster Risk Management Committee.
So in light of this, prior to Hurricane Melissa, our team, led by our Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Joseph Giles, and senior management, would have activated our Disaster Risk Management Committee. In the committee, we would have taken decisions to shut down our systems and to safeguard the infrastructure to protect lives, livelihood, and just to assist in just mitigating the impact that the Category 5 hurricane was expected to have on Jamaica.
Beyond restoring infrastructure, the NIC has been providing free non-potable water to farmers and communities in Western Jamaica since the passage of the hurricane.
So that is something that is very big for us, and we would have gone into the communities, we would have observed these, and we're seeing that the residents, they're forever grateful. It's somewhat almost like a saving grace for them to be trucking the water. So that's part of our corporate responsibility, because we understand that we don't also need to assist the farmers who we serve and we collect monies from to recover, but we also need to support the communities in which we serve. So we're trucking water to schools, we're trucking water to the police stations in some of these areas.
Jamaicans are being urged to remain prepared for earthquakes as the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management observes Earthquake Awareness Week from January 11 to 17. The week will be observed under the theme Resilient Jamaica, We Weather the Storm and Brace for the Shake. ODPEM Director General Commander Alvin Gale says the theme reflects the country's recovery from Hurricane Melissa, while reminding citizens that Jamaica remains vulnerable to seismic activity.
What we don't want our nation to lose sight of is the fact that Jamaica still properly sits within a zone which is prone to have seismic activity. And not forget, we can have many different types of hazards or different types of events, and an earthquake is one such. So in order not to forget, it is important then that during this week we cause for our populations to remember the history and then be prepared should there be any future events that we can properly secure ourselves during the events and then come out on the other side.
Speaking during a JIS think tank, Commander Gale shares that a series of activities will be held throughout the week, beginning with a social media campaign on January 11.
All right, so we'll start the week. It's pretty much a week of 4 major activities. We start the week on Sunday the 11th with our social media campaign launch. This is really geared towards getting the public heavily engaged in the awareness activities and also the preparedness activities around the week. On Monday, the 12th of January, this is our big day. This is when we officially launch the week. And we'll start with an outside broadcast, live outside broadcast at the headquarters of the ODPEM at Haining Road. This will officially begin at 10 and will conclude just about lunchtime. Persons can come down and join us for the live event.
Attentions will also turn to schools and businesses with a National School Earthquake Drill Day on January 14 and a Business and Workplace Preparedness Day on January 15. ODPEM is encouraging Jamaicans to participate in the week's activities as the country continues its recovery while preparing for future hazards. Schools that will use a modified approach for the upcoming CXE examinations will be identified by January 14 as the Council moves to support students affected by Hurricane Melissa. The update comes from Director of Operations at the Caribbean Examinations Council, Dr. Nicole Manning.
Now, we will work with our local registrar to ensure that we can identify these schools and we will manage accordingly. This is required, the submissions from the schools will be required by January 14th. So by January 14th, we will know the schools will be doing the full normal assessment versus the modified approach.
Dr. Manning was speaking at a press briefing in St. Andrew where CXE announced several accommodation measures for Jamaican students impacted by the hurricane. Among them, flexibility for schools in the hardest hit areas to use a modified examination approach.
We did our situational assessment along with the ministry and the schools to get a better understanding as to the situation for each of these schools within the parishes. In line with that, we also did our own review in terms of the data that was present in Jamaica. And we are able to say that schools in Manchester, St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, Hanover, Trelawney, St. Anne will have the opportunity, that flexibility that our registrar spoke about, to do either the full normal standard assessment or the modified approach.
Dr. Manning also confirmed that Jamaican students will receive a special concession document for their school-based assessments or SBAs.
So we are offering to all students in Jamaica concessions for the school-based assessments. Now, this document I'm holding provides the details for all subjects, and it must be noted that for these this document, it is only valid for use in Jamaica, nowhere else in the region. So the concessions are particularly for Jamaica.
She says the document will outline adjusted guidelines to help students complete their assessments fairly, despite the disruption caused by the hurricane. In a review of the year that was, 2025 was marked by bold decisions, historic firsts, and meaningful relief for Jamaicans. The Ministry of Finance and the Public Service delivered 5 key moments that defined the year, shaping the country's economic direction and delivering support to households and businesses alike.
I now invite members of this Honorable House to support the passage of the Income Tax Amendment Bill 2025.
Changes to the Income Tax Act early in the year put more money back into the pockets of Jamaicans and further incentivized the business. It raised the personal income tax threshold from $1.5 to $1.7 million, offered a new tax credit for Jamaicans earning under $3 million, expanded tax exemptions for pensioners, increased the equity capital cap for MSMEs from $500 to $750 million, and moved the duty-free threshold for personal and household effects from $500 to $1,000.
By creating an enabling fiscal environment through these measures, this government is working to strengthen its economic framework while addressing social and environmental challenges.
Another major win for taxpayers came with a multi-year increase of the PAYE threshold. It began on April 1, 2025, moving the threshold to 1.8 million, with scheduled increases planned for 2026 and 2027.
Doing it this way means our hardworking taxpayers don't have to guess and spell next year or the next year or the next year if the threshold is going to increase. We believe that the Special Arrears Settlement Program will alleviate the financial burden on taxpayers by providing an opportunity to clear their debts without the additional costs typically associated with late filing and payments.
And so it did. Over 4 months, more than 30,000 taxpayers received relief from long-standing principal balances across education tax, corporate and individual income tax, asset and partnership income tax, and GCT and SCT. The Special Arrears Settlement Program was expected to recover $10 million in government revenue. Instead, it collected a massive $18 billion. On February 13, Minister Favour Williams made history, becoming the first woman to table Jamaica's national budget. The $1.3 trillion budget delivered several boosts, including a 20% duty concession for farm vehicles and major relief for MSMEs.
We're also raising the GCT exemption for small businesses from $10 million to $15 million.
When Hurricane Melissa impacted the island, the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service mobilized immediate financial support. Key responses included a 100% payout of the $150 million World Bank catastrophe bond, a major SICRIF payout under its tropical cyclone policy to aid national recovery efforts, and import duty and tax relief for recovery essentials. These measures allowed communities to quickly begin rebuilding and reduced pressure on the most affected households.
In the third supplementary, Madam Speaker, is Hurricane Melissa response and relief, $29.3 billion or $142 million.
And in early December, Cabinet approved amendments to the Income Tax Act, permitting employers to provide tax-exempt disaster relief payments to their workers in areas officially declared as disaster zones.
Time now for the Business Report with Denise Williams.
Welcome to today's Business Report. I'm Denise Williams, bringing you the developments shaping markets, capital access, and business decision-making across Jamaica and the region. Let's get into the stories that matter. As we wrap up our final interview in the series with Curtis Hilton, architectural designer and builder, we put the spotlight on a civil servant wanting to get into real estate. So what are the 3 most important actions? Mr. Hilton tells us more. Now, for a civil servant wanting to get into real estate, Mr. Hilton, what are the 3 most important actions to take right now in terms of working with professionals such as an architectural designer or builder?
Thank you. Well, there are several approaches to that. The easiest approach would have been for persons who are eligible to take a loan from NHD. They have the National Housing Trust has a policy where I think between 2 to 7 or 2 to 9 persons can come together as a group, purchase a piece of property that can be subdivided, and each person will get their own lot of land. And the balance of their resources can be used to probably put a studio or a 2-bedroom house on a property, and that would be a good start.
So you're saying 9 to 11 persons?
No, between 2 to 7, I think 2 to 9.
2 to 9, okay.
It's called the NHD cluster policy. I don't know if that's changed, but I know it as the cluster policy.
So you're saying a cluster policy approach, have people work together and pool their resources, which would actually give them a bigger property than probably they'd get on their own.
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. Yes. Any other? So that's one. Any other?
Sure. Persons can also go on open market, identify properties. It could be empty land, it could be commercial, it could be residential, and they could probably approach a bank, take a loan, purchase that property, and they could do what is called flipping. You know, you probably renovate, and you can sell and buy, and you continue along that trend.
All right. What about having professionals work with you?
Oh, sure. Within that scope, you have persons in the field of real estate, architecture and construction. I could probably give them some ideas in terms of what can be built on a certain plot of land or size land, or based on the geographical area of the property. What is best? Is it residential? Is it commercial? You know, and they could make a choice, and then they could move from there in terms of real estate.
And if someone doesn't know the steps to take, what should they do? Just call around their friends? How do they get in touch with a contractor?
All right, well, there are several ways. They could check the telephone directory, they could ask friends, they could check with the Paris Council, engineering firms.
They could call you.
And they could call me for sure. They could call me for sure to get that information. And of course, being in the industry for so long, I could always offer advice or guidance in terms of, you know, what are some of the ways and you know, persons can actually go about running a piece of real estate.
So you don't recommend being alone in the process?
No, not at all. As you rightfully stated, professionals are here to assist. It can be somebody from the construction field, architectural field, engineering and real estate fields. And, you know, persons who real estate developers, you know, can give them advice in that area as well.
All right.
But it's always good to consult a professional when you're going into land matters.
Okay.
Proper guidance.
All right. Thank you very much. This was Mr. Curtis Hilton. The Bank of Jamaica placed US $40 million into the foreign exchange market on Thursday as part of efforts to stabilize the local currency and keep inflation within its 4 to 6% target range. More than half of the funds were taken up by NCB Financial Group, JMMB Bank, JMMB Securities, and Sagicor Bank Jamaica. Central Bank told RJR News that Thursday's move marks the first in a series of planned, timely, and transparent foreign exchange market interventions aimed at reducing uncertainty and improving stability. The Bank of Jamaica has also announced a further intervention of US $30 million scheduled for Friday. It says participating institutions will be required to sell the foreign currency to end users at prices no more than Jamaican 20 cents above their purchase cost. End users are defined as producers of goods and services who require foreign exchange to pay for essential imports and services. All right, for the trading period of January 8, 2026, the most actively traded securities, Supreme Ventures Limited with 11,457,097 units, representing 37.22% of market sales activities. Kintyre Holdings Jamaica Limited with 4,177,319 units, representing 13.57% of market sales activities. Trans-Jamaican Highway Limited with 3,498,801 units, representing 11.37% of market sales activities. Investor activity remained concentrated in gaming, advertising, and transportation plays, signaling continued interest in dividend-producing and strategic growth assets. Now turning to the foreign exchange market based on Bank of Jamaica data for January 8, 2026. Forex traders recorded significant activity with strong demand across major currencies. For the US dollar, trading margins reflecting steady liquidity with the US selling at $158.93 and buying at $157.70. For the Canadian dollar, moderate gains supported by $5.70 in transaction spreads. The Canadian dollar sold for $116.86 and was bought for $111.16. For the British pound, there was continued volatility, offering short-term trading opportunities of $5.04 in profits for the banks. The British pound sold for $216.09 and was bought for $211.05. These movements underscore the importance of cash flow timing and currency awareness for business managing import costs, debt servicing, or overseas exposure. For our credit report tip of the day, if your credit has been holding you back, the solution isn't guilt, it's action. Start by understanding what's actually on your report. Reduce what's dragging your score down and add new positive activity with purpose. When you take these steps intentionally, debt shifts from something you avoid to a tool you use to acquire income-producing assets, build cash flow, and regain financial momentum. And that's today's business report. I'm Denise Williams, bringing clarity to capital markets and strategy. Until next time, stay informed, stay intentional, and keep building forward. See you soon.
In regional news, Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, Dr. Terence Drew, has officially assumed the chairmanship of CARICOM, pledging renewed commitment to regional integration, reparatory justice, and collective action on key challenges facing the Caribbean. SKN Newsline's Andre Huey reports.
The Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, Dr. Terence Drew, has reaffirmed his commitment to the Caribbean ideal as he takes on the chairmanship of CARICOM. In his New Year's message, he emphasized the critical role of regional integration in navigating an uncertain world.
As incoming chair, I address you at a moment that calls for reflection, calm leadership, and renewed commitment to the Caribbean ideal. As a unified body, we will continue to explore viable partnerships to encourage innovative approaches, capacity building, and access to affordable finance that are needed to foster sustainable development. Our Caribbean civilization, forged in the crucible of slavery and indentured labor, has produced achievements that far exceed our size. The region's advocacy for reparatory justice will therefore continue through the work of the CARICOM Reparations Commission and the tenets of the CARICOM 10-point plan for reparatory justice.
He also highlighted the ongoing crisis in Haiti, stressing the importance of supporting the country in its efforts to achieve stability and rebuild.
We will continue our support, including through the Eminent Persons Group, as Haiti anticipates holding general elections in 2026, and as the UN Security Council Resolution 2793 on the gang suppression force is implemented. As we chart our course over the next 6 months, St. Kitts and Nevis has already begun preparations to host the 50th regular meeting of the Conference of Heads of Government of CARICOM from February 24th to 27th, 2026. I therefore cordially invite my colleague heads to join us in active engagement as we consider priority issues and advance the welfare of our people and of our region.
Prime Minister Terence Drew officially assumed the CARICOM chairmanship on January 1st, succeeding Jamaica's Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness. I'm Andre Huey reporting for SKN Newsline.
Grenada's police chief has pushed back against recent U.S. travel advisory warning of violent crime on the island, expressing surprise at the assessment and reaffirming Grenada's reputation as one of the safest destinations in the region.
Head of the RGPF, Acting Commissioner Randy Connaught, has shared his view on the recent travel advisory imposed by the United States. While he did not want to preempt the government's response, Connaught admitted that he was surprised by the U.S. pronouncement. The Level 2 advisory, issued on Monday, January 5th, warns that violent crime can occur anywhere in Grenada and mentions that U.S. citizens have fallen victim to several crimes such as robbery, rape, and homicide. While he regretted such incidents, Connaught insisted that Grenada remains one of the safest destinations within the region, a claim he said will be reflected in RGPF data.
Data don't lie. And when we compute all data at the end of the year, and it is presented, the public will see. But I don't think people should panic, because you and I know you live in Grenada. And I don't think you need any evidence to support that we are about the safest country in the region, if not the safest.
The advisory also cautioned travelers to expect slower police response times in Grenada. Connaught refuted this claim, referring to the RGPF's successful 48-hour mantra as part of broader efforts to reduce response times.
In less than 48 hours in all those cases, though regrettable as it was for those crimes to have been committed, the police solved those crimes. Every individual was arrested, to the extent that I think some of those matters have been completed in court and results given. In one particular case, the individual was caught even before the police got to the scene. That is how quick it was.
Earlier in the program, Connaught explained ongoing improvements in protocols, manpower, and vehicles.
I think gone are the days where you would hear, and I'm hoping it's not happening, we don't have a transport. That is not the case. And obviously, the numbers in terms of personnel, we are adequate in numbers. So you can see response time being shortened, and obviously the work of the police will be much more demanding going forward. But I think it is a work in progress, and we are endeavoring to ensure that response time is cut as short as reasonably possible.
Connaught emphasized that the government is expected to address the advisory further and voiced his hope that it would be withdrawn in the near future. Reporting for GBN News, I am Deidre Seeley.
In sports, we look to football. Excelsior High has claimed the 2026 Issa All-Ireland Oliver Shield, defeating St. Elizabeth Technical High 2-0 at Stadium East yesterday. The reigning Manning Cup champions struck early with a penalty from captain Terence Williams in the 10th minute. Kevon Salmon sealed the win with a late goal in the 87th minute, giving Excelsior their third Oliver Shield title. Despite delays from Hurricane Melissa and a holiday break, the Eagles held their composure to secure the All-Ireland crown. Excelsior was winning their first Oliver Shield title in 22 years. And that's the news on PBCJ. You can follow us on our social media platforms at PBCJamaica. Thank you so much for watching.